I sit in a dark room, trying to write about the light in me flickering, which makes me look like a star from a distance, but up close, this light is a disco light that my demons dance under singing, "You suck." Did you expect me to sing that part? If you know me, you know I can't sing, just like I can't sleep without nightmares waking me up every 3 hours. But I still cannot get out of bed, so I apply this 5-second countdown rule. Get out of bed in 5 seconds, or the ceiling will fall on you. So now I live in a shitty place where they're repairing the roof, and I have anxiety, so that on most days works. But there are days it doesn't. The ceiling falls and I squirm under the weight of existence. But I've taught myself to not let anxiety become an excuse to not live. So these are the days I crawl out of bed, literally. I wear my baby sister's rubber band around my wrist so that I wouldn't cut it like my mother did. And I show up even though I really don't want to. Because my anxiety is a Boggart. It molds everything around me into something I fear the most. For example, every time I write a poem, I believe it's the last poem I'll ever write. Every time my phone rings, I believe someone is calling me to give me the news of my grandmother's death. Every time somebody says, "Mariyam, I love you," I believe they're lying, because when I don't find any reason to love myself, how did you? I mean, even as a child, I was told, "Shut up," more often than "I love you." So I never told anyone how my house was a battlefield. My shoulders were where my parents rested their guns and fired at each other. I never told anyone how I became a refugee in my own home. So I'm tempted to ask people, tell me, why do you want me to build an asylum in you, only to have you walk away with my peace and leave me with homesickness that becomes severe every time you refuse to look back at me, because eye contact ultimately becomes awkward. But my grandmother's words stop me. She tells me, in people, you won't find a sanctuary, rather a zoo. And you want to be fed and forget to hunt? Your home was the forest that got burned down, and they'll keep burning it down every time you try to grow it back, so roam wild and free. You were not meant to be tamed. But I'm scared. I don't believe in myself, and I don't know how my grandmother manages to believe in me or even love me without any reason, so unconditionally. She tells me love is not earned, it is not a trade. It is anger and hatred that must be earned. And I believe her. Maybe if the world functioned like that, we wouldn't have wars. And my mama, she knew that every day out there would be like war. So she raised a refugee as a warrior. With triggers being pulled and my body on flight or fight mode, I cannot run or hide from myself. So I will always choose to fight. As a child, when I was bullied, my mom told me, "Agar koi ek mare, to usko char maar ke aane ka." Bad advice, because I got in. Bad advice because I got into a lot of fights after that, but it works very well. When anxiety scratches reasons I should live one by one on this list I made that reminds me to breathe, I add 4 more, even if they are as ridiculous as not wanting to miss no episode of Detective Conan, or who will be the loudest person at my class or at a poetry event, or like who will blow the perfect papaya-sized bubbles for my baby sister, or I mean, who will go to jail and start a revolution. Yeah, I went a little overboard over there. I tend to do that a lot. I think a lot. My brain is a laboratory. I dissect every situation, every possibility, every text message, every person, figuratively. And I'm starting to realize that jumping to conclusions is easier than forming a hypothesis or even conducting an experiment. Anxiety has made me a great scriptwriter in my head, horror being my preferable genre. I believe I have jaws that can divorce people's ears when they don't want to listen. I mean, I have my own set of stranger things happening to me, around me, or just by me. And I'm starting to realize that I'm better at conjuring endings than beginnings. But I never know what's going to happen in between, so I do what they do in horror movies. I say everything that scares me. I do everything that makes me uncomfortable, hoping the ending would change. And on most days, the ending does change. But there are days it doesn't. My anxiety makes me a girl who I've always been afraid of. The girl who doesn't walk her talk, and when she does walk around, she cannot do that without breaking something or someone. And she's loud and squeaky as she makes every argument, every mistake, every secret, basically every conversation a Facebook post. Or better yet, a poem. These are the days my anxiety makes me a girl who will never be good enough at anything. And I'm starting to believe that I don't have to be. Thank you.